It's a message from our kids' heart to American heart. Please tell your government, tell United States government and senators and president, stop the terrorists and supporting terrorists in Syria. Enough. Our kids, they have dream, and we want their dream to come true. We want the smile on their face again. We want to take their tears from their eyes and the sadness from their heart. Please help us. Please put pressure on the government and the Congress and senators and the White House by calls, by sign our petition, by calls the White House. Please, we need your support. Each call save Syrian kids' life and bring the happiness in our country and defend the United States, our nation, from the terrorists. Excuse me when I speak in Arabic, so I welcome our ambassador, our man who defend our country. We don't just love him, we respect him and love him from our heart. And each Syrian pray to Mr. Al-Jaafari, God bless him, because he supported us and he fought to bring peace to our country. مساء الخير دكتور جعفري. أهلا وسهلا قليلة. نسر سوريا بقلوبنا منحبك ونتمنى دائما إنه نكون عنا الوقت لنقدر نرد لك الدين اللي على كتافنا وبقلوبنا إلك، إنك حميت بلدنا، دافعت عنا بكل دقيقة بقلب الأمم المتحدة. تفضل.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aveen, and thanks for this distinguished audience for coming at this very hot moment of the afternoon to show some solidarity with Syria and the Syrian people. We are grateful to all of you, the anti-war movement, namely speaking, the SAF, Syrian American Forum, and all these noble and lofty American people who decided to share with us today in the morning briefing at the UN, as well as right now at the church center here, who decided to come and share with us these important moments of solidarity with Syria and the Syrian people. We are grateful to all of you, and I'm specifically grateful to this distinguished panelists from the United States of America who went to Syria willingly to witness the experience, the new experience actually, the new electoral experience that Syria witnessed recently on June the 3rd for the presidential elections. These ladies and gentlemen came back with their own testimonies on the process of the organization of these presidential elections. They presented their witnesses and their testimonies this morning at the United Nations Center for Information, and now they are again are willing to share the same kind of experience with this noble and lofty audience. Syria is a victim of accumulation of some factors, some elements. Syria is a victim of terrorism, of course, but Syria is also a victim of miscalculation by heavyweight statesmen in USA and elsewhere. Syria is a victim of misleading information and misreading of the geopolitical landscape prevailing in our area. This combination of too many elements brought up a catastrophe, not only for the Syrian people, but also for the interest of the American people, for the interest of United States of America. It's somehow awkward to see that while we are fighting terrorism in Syria, some people in the United States, but also in the Gulf states, in Turkey and elsewhere, describe these same terrorists as revolutionaries, as jihadists, as militants, as insurgents, or in the best cases, they call them Sunni rebels. To play the card of, to play the sectarian and confessional cards into this crisis. Fighting terrorism in Syria means fighting terrorism in USA, in Europe, in Russia, in China, and elsewhere. Terrorists have no religion, have no nationality, have no race, have no values whatsoever, according to the United Nations General Assembly strategy to combat terrorism, for combating terrorism. This is a common denominator agreed upon by all member states of the United Nations. But still, the way people look at who is terrorist and who is not creates this big discrepancy between the theory and the practice. So I think that our main task should be to create some kind of awareness among the public opinion on the real identity of terrorism. I feel disturbed, personally speaking, when I read the New York Times headlines every morning and I see that ISIS, Daesh, is called militants or fighters. In the best cases, they call them cross-border fighters or foreign fighters. So you see how many terms did I use so far? None of them describes Daesh or ISIS as terrorists. They turn around so that they avoid describing these terrorists the way they deserve it. That means somehow, deep inside themselves, they are backing these terrorists. Those who do not acknowledge these terrorists as terrorists, that means they are backing them, directly or indirectly. So this is why participating at rescuing the Syrian people from these barbarian waves of terrorists is in the interest of the United States of America and of the American people themselves. They started in Syria, they moved into Iraq, now they are creating branches elsewhere. They want to create a so-called Islamic Caliphate. They don't know what they want because they are being manipulated by foreign intelligence services in order to create what they call, what one day Condoleezza Rice describe it as creative chaos. The chaos should be creative. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a chaos. So what we are suffering from nowadays in Syria and Iraq and elsewhere is exactly the creative chaos that one day Condoleezza Rice talked about it after the invasion of Iraq. I would like to conclude by saying that we shouldn't fall in this trap of focusing on ISIS only, Daesh. ISIS is a small detail in the geopolitical landscape of what's going on in the area. ISIS is misused by foreign intelligence services to rampage and expand this chaos I was referring to all over the area. Why? It's very simple. In their mind, in the mind of the philosophers of this creative chaos, by triggering a sectarian war in the area between Muslims and Muslims, they call it Shiite and Sunnite. It's like Orthodox and Catholics 500 years ago in Europe. By triggering this kind of sectarian war in the area, the Israeli policies in Palestine would have enough time to absorb the Palestinian question, to kill the dream of having a Palestinian state, to deviate the attention of the international public opinion towards another front, another war that will never end. You know, religious wars start, but they never end. And this is what they are seeking, to deviate the attention from the Israeli settlement policies, the Israeli illegal practices against the Palestinians, but also against the Syrians in the Golan, so that the Israelis will have enough time to implement their strategic plan of killing the Palestinian state dream and bringing further settlers to settle on the occupied territories. This is the big headline. This is a big scenario. And this is why I have just said that Daesh, ISIS, is a small detail in the geopolitical landscape. We shouldn't focus on them. We should focus on those who are backing ISIS, those who are backing Daesh, those who are sponsoring them, collecting them from the four corners of the planet, sponsoring them, training them in Jordan, in Turkey, the Saudi money, the Qatari money, the Kuwaiti, the Emiratis. These people should be questioned and should be held accountable. ISIS is just a bunch of criminals. We know that. You know that. Everybody knows that. But we should stop those who are backing them, those who are using them, those who are encouraging them to slaughter innocent people, whether in Syria or in Iraq. I'm very thrilled once again to sit with these distinguished panelists to share with you their own experience after their return from Syria, after their adventure in Syria, where they participated at overseeing and observing the presidential elections in Syria. So without further delay, I thank you very much, both the anti-war movement, SAF, and everybody else who worked very hard to organize this important gathering this evening. So I thank you very much, and I will give you the floor. Thank you.